Hello everyone, this is Domino from HiCards. I hope you are having a wonderful day. In today's video we have a tier list of the Cartoon Network shows that I think might be all of them or just most of them. I've already put them in the tiers. I'll just be explaining my reasoning for them. So what is this is pretty much I don't know what any of these shows are. So I know there's some probably ones a lot of people might like, some DC shows, but I don't like DC. So yeah, I do apologize. Watched, never watched, or don't remember. So Cow, Chicken, the He-Man Planet of... I can't read that, sorry. No, that's not He-Man. He-Man was somewhere else. Captain Planet, I think it is, and the original Teen Titans. I don't really remember anything about these shows. Don't necessarily think they're good or bad. I just can't really formulate a respectable opinion knowing I can't remember too much about them. Now for the shows that I think are bad, Victor and Valentino, barely watched any of this, didn't really enjoy it. I was looking forward to it, but just didn't really like it all too much. OKKO, never liked it, just wasn't for me. Mighty Magiswords, I was interested in it, but just could never really get into it. Adventures of Flapjack, that creeped me out. That show was just a bit too scary for me. Craig of the Creek, just didn't really like the show. Ben 10 Reboot, I think is terrible. Ben 10 Omniverse is just not a good show. Apple and Onion feels like a knockoff Amazing World of Gumball. Not a good one. A pup named Scooby-Doo, which I'm actually going to put in never watched or don't remember. I thought that said Scrappy-Doo, but it looks like Scooby-Doo. Don't remember this. And Turtle Dramarama, I just think it's terrible. Now for the mediocre shows. Summer Camp Island, I do actually want to watch more of in the future, but I just don't really watch TV. But I feel like it's something I would like, just need to give it more time. Powerpuff Girls Reboot, I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the original. My Gym Partner's a Monkey, I remember watching it growing up, thought it was okay. Mixels I think is funny, pretty alright. George of the Jungle, thought it was funny for when it came out, when I was younger. Clarence, I'm gonna have to drop it down into bad. I just did not like that show. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. Camp Lazlo I thought was I'm gonna have to bump that up to good. I thought that was a good show. And I can't pronounce this last show, but I do recall it. Thought it was a pretty okay show. Not good or bad, but I think it was alright. Good. Now, I didn't get onto the Samurai Jack, hype ride as a lot of people did. I know a lot of people love this show, but I thought it was good. The intro song was pretty good, but just wasn't for me. Already explained Camp Lazlo. The Looney Tunes show, love Looney Tunes, classic, growing up, watched them and loved them. Johnny Bravo, think is a pretty funny show, pretty good. Ed, Edd and Eddy. This one is borderline good and mediocre, just the gross out humor was a bit much for me, but I think it is a good show regardless. Dragons, I want to say Riders or Defenders of Berk, but I'm just going to group them together. Think it's a pretty good show. I'm going to bump that down to mediocre as I think it's more mediocre than good. Dexter's Laboratory, I recall watching growing up. Think it's a funny show. Nothing particularly amazing, but I think it's good. And same as Chowder. Think it's a funny show. The animation was actually really good. I don't know how to describe it where... Yeah, I really don't know, but I just really like the animation. Adventure Time, I feel like some people might not like that it's in good, but Adventure Time, I think, came out around the same time as regular show and Amazing World of Gumball. That was like the one of the three where I just did not like all too well. I've come around to it over time. Years ago I would put in bad, but I'll just put in good for now. I think it is a good show. And I think where it gets me the most is it has a consistent story. Like, where regular show and Amazing World of Gumball didn't focus on their stories all too much. Towards the end, Amazing Adventure Time really heavily focused on its story, and I did quite like it. Uncle Grandpa has always been an odd show. I want to say it's mediocre, but I actually did quite like it. Steven Universe Future, I was considering it, but years ago I wanted to say they were like the best, but I just don't really. I'll put them in good because I do think they're good shows. I don't really think they're for me anymore. I think they're good, but yeah, I've just maybe grown out of them. I don't know, but they're just not for me. But I do like the concept of all like the story and all the characters. They were pretty cool. Now for great Star Wars Clone Wars, I very much just like the show. I'm not a big Star Wars fan anymore. Like, I don't really enjoy most of the Star Wars that come out these days. But I think it's a good show. Teen Titans Go, I believe a lot of people don't like the show. I love Teen Titans Go. Borderlining having it in the best tier S, but I'll have it top of A. Sonic Boom I just think is pretty funny. Like, not an amazing or like the best show by any means, but I think it's a great show. Johnny Test, I loved it growing up and I still love it now. Just a funny show. Garfield show, I love Garfield as a character. I just think it's a great show. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, I loved its animation. Quite interesting and just think it's a good show. The movie's great, but a pretty good show. I enjoyed coming home to be able to watch an episode or two. Ben 10 Alien Force, the weaker of the original trilogy in my opinion, but still a great show. Batman the Brave and the Bold, the probably one DC show I do recall. I think it's great. Good show. Baby Looney Tunes, I don't actually recall it at all. I think it, but yeah, so I don't know why that was in A, but let's move on to Unikitty. I think it's just a funny and adorable show. Nothing that's really been done before. Or well, I'm sure it's been done many a times, but this is the one I do remember, and I just think it's a great show. We Bare Bears, I want to drop that down some good because I just didn't like it as much as I wanted to. I think it's a good show, but I feel like its humor didn't land as much as I would have wanted it to. S, the best. Now we start off with the original Powerpuff Girls. I love the original Powerpuff Girls. Great show, funny, good characters. Then we have Over the Garden Wall, like that little, it was like 10 episodes maybe, I don't recall exactly. Just an amazing self-contained story. Loved it. Ninjago, still going on, one of my favourite shows of all time. They recently did the Dragons Rising. I know that's like a sequel series, but I just all contain it and Dragons Rising in the one. So that's how I personally do it, but I know it's like a sequel series. Amazing show, character story. The toys, really cool. I forgot what this show's called. I remember watching it before I sort of basically stopped watching TV, but just a particularly good show. It was one of the last shows I recall watching before I stopped watching TV. Generator Rex, I just think was an awesome show at the time. Its concept was super cool. Characters, story, really cool animation style. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Thought this show was funny as the characters, the story. I say that a lot, but that's like the stuff I focus on in shows, and I loved it. Infinity Train was an amazing concept. I wish it was still going, but you know, it is what it is, and I just think it was an amazing show. Like, each of the seasons were like self-contained stories, and I loved it. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is an amazingly adorable show and just really sweet. You know, tugs at the heartstrings. Love the characters, love everything about it. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Just want to say, Courage is, he has all rights of being cowardly. The stuff he goes through, that is horrifying. So I don't think he's cowardly. But amazing show. You know, so much nostalgia. Same as Codename Kids Next Door. Just love the show. It was such a cool show. Like, I remember drawing so many like cool little pictures of all their vehicles growing up. Man, that was so cool. Ben 10 Ultimate Alien is probably my favorite Ben 10 series. So I'll talk about that first since I've started. I just love the concept of Ultimate Aliens, like evolved forms. That was super cool. Series, the story was really cool. Then you have the original Ben 10, which started it all. Such an awesome series. I remember growing up watching that. I loved it. Amazing World of Gumball I'm going to talk about soon. Total Drama Island and Total Drama Redonkulous Race. The only other one they had was Dramarama, which I don't like. But I'm also going to talk about Action World Tour, and I don't remember anything after that until Redonkulous Race. I don't really remember much about like all the other seasons. So Island, Action, World Tour, and Redonkulous Race, they were awesome to grow up watching. When I was still watching TV, I loved these shows, the characters, the drama. The art style and animation was super unique at the time, in my opinion. I might be wrong about that, but I loved it. What's New Scooby-Doo? I just love Scooby-Doo as an IP. I love the show. And I'm going to talk about Mystery Incorporated in a minute, but yeah, just love the show. You know, it was the Monster of the Week sort of style, which is sort of like Mystery Incorporated, but I'll explain that more in a minute. But yeah, just great show. Mystery Incorporated, my favorite iteration of the Scooby-Doo IP, is amazing. The story, the 2 seasons, wish it got a third. How it just did its story, the characters, the character development, everything about it. The story, as I said, is so crazy, and you know, it really like had real monsters, which was a new thing. I think I'm maybe wrong about that, but I loved Mystery Incorporated. The Amazing World of Gumball is amazing. The characters, the art style specifically, how there's so many different art styles in general in that show. It's crazy, but I love it. And finally, my personal favorite show ever made, live action, cartoon, anything, Regular Show. Anything but. I remember the original advertisements. I believe they were saying it's like Regular Show, anything but or something. This show, specifically Mordecai's story, I can relate to it so much. Like how he struggles with relationships. You know, he didn't know what he wanted to do, and you know, eventually he found himself. Then you just have all the characters, the art, like, and I loved that it didn't have a story, but when the show was ending, they gave it just a crazy, not regular, but regular show story. And that ending, that last 2 minutes, you know, the montage of them just growing up, Mordecai finally doing what he wanted to do, go back to art school. And, you know, he didn't end up with either CJ or Margaret. That was probably one of my favourite things in the finale, where he didn't end up with either of them, because that part of his story had ended with both of them. He moved on to find someone new, and I love that. This show just means so much to me. Regular show, I know shows really don't, you don't really say anything is perfect, but, and regular show isn't perfect, but to me, it is perfect. But I hope you've enjoyed this tier list. So I went on a little bit of an emotional tangent towards the end of regular show, but I hope you enjoyed this tier list. I'd love to hear what you think of these shows and how you would rank them in the comments section if you'd like to. But this has been Domino from High Cards, and goodbye now.